Tell you what, Craig looks really good though.
Yeah, he does.
He looks super fast.
6-second lead already.
Yeah,
two,
right.
2 laps to go. I mean,
Exactly.
right now the
And,
kid's pretty much untouchable.
and we
Trying
are
at least.
live. We are live on YouTube. What's up, everybody? It's Dave Drakes. Welcome to the TCE Supercross live watch party. With me is one of my longtime friends. I met this guy way before I hit puberty. It's it's the one and only Mr. Ozzy, Mr. Alexander Adams from New England area. Ozzy's been a professional wrench for quite a while and makes some of the most amazing, incredible bikes that I have ever seen. So I wanted to get him on to kind of get his inside perspective on the races, chat with him a little bit, do some bench racing, and kind of do what we do best, Ozzy, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's what we like doing it for. So
exactly. For the people out there who may not know who you are and kind of your background in the sport, give us a quick 1-minute rundown of your background and some of the cool things you've done in moto and supercross, man.
Oh man. Well, for me, my story starts back in about 2005. I was still in high school. I met a friend of mine, one of my best friends was, one of those guys that I was his best man in his wedding type of deal. And he, the funny story is that, everybody in school used to wear Fox apparel, right? The school I used to go to and whatnot. And it always interested me because it was just synonymous with something. And I remember just getting a hat one time. I found one, I think it was at PacSun or something. And he asked me if I was going to the National. And I'm like, and mind you, I'm from California, moved to Estrange from 3,000 miles to the East Coast. No idea what anything about motocross was, even though I lived in the mecca of the sport.
Yep.
And so he brought me to Southwick in 2005.
Okay.
And this is when it was a 2-day event. They had qualifying racing on Saturday, and then the mains were on Sunday. And it changed pretty much my whole life, actually, if you want to be honest. So ever since then, I wanted a dirt bike. Like I went to Valley Motorsports in Northampton, went over, I grabbed as many brochures as I could. I used to stuff them. Right. I used to be at school, stuff them in my binder and whatnot, and just stare at bikes all day. And then any chance at any fix I could get of it. And for all us moto heads, it's intoxicating. So long story short, and he would point out like guys like Doug Henry and Dowdy and the local guys, or some of his favorites was like one of his favorite racers was Ernesto Fonseca, and just being a fan for a couple of years. And I met some people that, and especially a racer who was a professional, and got hooked up with him, and he knew Dowdy, and they used to go mountain biking together and like Granby, Mass and all that. So through all the channels of hanging out with him and going riding and stuff, I met John at his track in West Springfield, actually. And he told me that, he was selling bikes. We got introduced and whatnot. And he told me he was selling some bikes. And I was just like, John Dowd selling his bikes, what an opportunity.
Yeah.
So he hooked me up with his mechanic, which was Kenny Germain. And he had a little shop in Chicopee that he ran with his brother. And his bikes were there for sale. And I told him, and this is when his shop was just starting. Yeah. And I told him, I'm here to buy John's bikes and whatnot. And then he built me. I asked him like, hey, do you build bikes and stuff? And like what he did. And he's like, oh yeah, I can build stuff. So, I met my buddy Jared Boothroyd, who's a local pro. And
super fast, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Very talented, very talented individual. And we took one of my bikes and we made it into a supercross bike for him. And I mean, we went full bore, like Tokyo Mods carburetor, smaller beryllium seats, titanium valves, and Kenny did the porting himself. High compression piston, Tokyo Mods ignition, the works. And it's funny because Kenny and I will once in a while talk about that bike and go, he's like, man, I wish he still had it. We would put that thing on a dyno and just see. He's like, I know that thing was pumping out something fierce, and Kenny if those that don't know who Kenny is, Kenny Germain was Ernesto Fonseca's mechanic.
Dude is the absolute magician with motors.
Absolute. And he taught me. So basically a friendship developed out of that. I literally stayed at his shop every single day and just watched him work, and watched him how he did top ends. He taught me how to change tires. That was like, I didn't know anything. So I knew the basics, changing oil and stuff like that. Yeah. So just watching him for about almost 2 years, doing top ends, bottom ends, and basically just learning through that, avenues of that. And then obviously Dowdy would come in and with Ryan. And we just kind of got to talking because Ryan was getting older and, figure his career was on the start, right?
Yeah, just getting going. Right. When your dad's John Dowd, I mean, of course you're gonna try to help sport, right?
Exactly. So, for 1 year, I think it was 2011, I helped sponsor Ryan and John. We went to Millville. And that was the year when Reedy had his mishap on the triple in the back.
The catapult?
Yeah, the catapult. We were there for that. Yeah, we were there for that. And that was insane.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we kind of just started from there and then basically watched Ryan grow up. And then me and Kenny did some other things along the way. We started a race team, which included support from Yamaha. And people affiliated were obviously Kenny, Brian Barry, who was Dowdy's mechanic for years and throughout his factory Yamaha days. And he was our team manager. And then we had some other staff. We had Kenny's nephew, Mikey, and
good
very good dude, love him to death. And Scott Donkersgood from Canada.
Gotcha.
And call him Donk. Great guy, great mechanic. And we had, I think that year was 2013. We had Kyle Chisholm and Bob Canary.
Good dude. Oh, what a blast from the past, Bob Canary.
Yeah, Bob gnarly, man.
Yeah, dude. New York dude, just gnarly. And so many people don't realize how fast Bob Canary was. Dude, he was literally like a top 3 guy in like the Stewart era on any given weekend. Like he was very, very, very fast.
Right.
Kind of from our neck of the woods, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And, he grew up in upstate New York and whatnot. And like I said, we call him Bob Gnarly for a reason because, he would go to Unadilla National and then the next day drive all the way up to Canada to race the National up there. And he was old school too, like with his type of training. He used to tell me he used to just do like pull-ups on tree trunks and on tree branches and like literally pick up logs from old school stuff, you know?
Yeah.
He made everything what he could to train and to do his thing. So great guy. And, we lasted about 5 rounds till the money ran out. And mind you, this was during the recession from like 08 to which, it felt like it never ended. But we made 5 rounds. In the first round, both riders made the mains.
Awesome.
So to me, that's
a win right there.
A win. Just getting to the race,
Exactly.
And
we see teams folding left and right, man, that like literally it's tough. So even teams that are winning, races are essentially folding. So I mean, I think that's just the nature of where our sport is. Unfortunately, is funding is very, very tough, and essentially the dollars that you spend change hand from one company to another. It's the same money being used back and forth, right? So it's tough, and I think there's opportunity, hopefully in the future for teams to do better, get out there, and we start seeing more injection of funds. One team that doesn't need that much is Pro Circuit, and we got Austin Faulkner in second place right now, looking really good behind Oldenburg. I mean, those are 2 teams that have significant funding that don't seem to be running out anytime soon. Ozzy, you've painted the picture. You've got tenure in the sport. You've done pretty much everything from owning teams to building motors to being a professional mechanic to sponsoring people. I mean, you've done it all. You can lay the blueprint for the sport pretty much. What are your thoughts on the major differences between a factory bike and like a bike that, you and I, well, I won't say you and I, because you have one of the fastest bikes I've ever seen in my life, but like your average rider out there can do with just basic bolt-on parts off the shelf?
Oh man, today's bikes, it's hard to judge that because bikes nowadays are so fast out of the box. Like look at Yamaha. I don't hold my candle to the wind, but like it could be, I think if I remember, they pushed out the max horsepower you could get for a 250F. You know, it was between them and KTM. And some like Honda, you know, was trailing somewhere in Cowie, wherever they are. But, you know, bang for buck, those are the best bikes to buy because, you know, you go to races like Southwick here locally, most bikes you see are all either Austrian or they're Yamaha.
Yeah. Because
they pump out a lot of horsepower and they're good. So back then, you know, from our days, do you remember at Moto Town when I used to bring my bike to Moto Town and it had every mod you could think of?
Yes. Yep.
It had a pro circuit head and whatnot. And, you know, you could buy all that stuff to pump up motors, or you could take it to somebody who knew what to do and what to look for to give you horsepower. Back then, you know, the bikes were, you know, be realistic, they were slugs. They were slow.
Yep.
And I know a lot what the manufacturer had to do was, you know, it's for the average Joe, right? You know, not everybody is a Forkner or a Craig.
Yeah.
So it has to appease to them. And obviously for pros had to spend a lot of money to be competitive in a class that was just F1 racing, basically.
Yes, exactly.
And, you know, versus from the two-stroke days where you could be competitive because there was only so much that you could do with a motor, for the two-stroke motor, at least at that point in time. But now, you know, it was down to cams, pistons, the crank arms, and, you know, guys even polish gears for smoother transition in you know, shifting, and, you know, the seats, the porting jobs, and measuring the squish and the deck height and everything you can think of to pump out half or even 1 horse. And then, you know, on top of that, race gas, which today for a 5-gallon pail of the stuff that the pros run is almost $200.
Yeah. Yep. You're spending big cash for that.
Yeah. And, you know, I remember we bought a 30-gallon thing of Pro 4 back in the day, and we shared it amongst Jared, Jimmy D, and Dowdy. You know, that was $1,300. So, you know, but today there's so little that you have to do nowadays because the bikes are so fast. Yeah. Cowies are, you know, they're very abrupt power and just like snappy. Yamahas are extremely torquey. And KTM, I think, out of all of them, has it figured out on how to just create not endless, but just an RPM range that just does not end. It just keeps building. And let me tell you, that's something that pros, certain vet riders, and for an average consumer, especially now that the sport is changing so much because these riders are just getting faster and faster. Yeah. You know, and I mean, you could spend back in the day in like 2012, you'd easily spend over $4,000 just to get competitive. Yeah. Yep. You know, I remember Jimmy D back in the day when he first started, and when Kenny built his motors and stuff, you know, we degreed cams and pistons and porting and race ignitions and fuel, and just try to do it with a budget. What he could get to be competitive. And it was tough. Yeah. It was really tough.
You know, I think you can almost see the difference, especially when you see the big things for me is certain tracks are a little bit more loose, more sandy. So you can see it tracks like Southwick. You can see it tracks like what's the one in Florida that like RJ Hampshire grew up near?
Oh man,
you know what I'm talking about.
I know which one you're talking about. I don't know if it was the Mets or.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but they have a national there, and maybe even like in Millville. You can see when those guys are coming into some tight inside corners, it's all sand, and they immediately just crank and get right out of it. Where other bikes, you'll see they're spinning, they're taking their time to kind of get going, they're having a shift before they even out of the corner, stuff like that. I think becomes really apparent how different the steps are between the factory level top 250s and even 450s. Right. And someone who's like, you know, privateer budget. And some guys get the job done. Don't get me wrong. There's some guys that have talent to get it done all day long. Unfortunately, I'm not that guy. So I wish I was. But no, it's really awesome to be able to see, you know, just how far the sport has come. Because Ozzy, you mentioned it, you know, back in the day, dude, like we were racing what we had pretty much. And nowadays, I mean, to be able to get the same power back then that we get out of a stock 250 YZ, I mean, man, you're spending
Right.
Thousands upon thousands upon
Right.
thousands. And that's not even talking about suspension or ergos or anything.
Absolutely. And, you know, honestly, like, I know right now, especially with COVID and everything driving up prices of materials and, you know, some of the factories, especially during 2020, we're running only at half capacity to pump out, you know, the machines for consumers. But the back then, you know, like I had a 2012 CRF, you know, which to me is my favorite bike. I still have it.
Mm-hmm.
Won my first race on it, but I knew when I got it what it needed in order for me to race it. And because the thing was slow, it needed a pipe, it needed a good map and a good fuel mixture, port and polishing, and a high compression piston. And it was good to go. But now I bought, you know, my bike, Cowie, I just put a pipe on it and that's it. Really. I changed the little plug to the white plug, you know, the aggressive plug, and you know, that's it. And but the dirt bikes today too, don't forget, are mostly, at least the factory bikes, are tailored to the rider. A lot of people just think, you know, they bolt on, well, not most people, but some did that aren't knowledgeable like we are, but you know, you bolt on a pipe and they think that could be it. Sure, it could be for him, maybe. I remember when Kennard, when they built him a bike a few years ago when he was still racing, they told him to slow it down. It was too much power because he didn't ride like how Eli does. You know, Eli wants every horsepower you can squeeze out because of his riding style. He's a bulldog. And whereas Kennard was fast, but he was more methodical and smooth and, you know, with his marks and everything. So he needed usable power. And I know Dowdy was the same way. He liked his motors a certain way. And, but motors to me can only bring you so much if you can use it. You know, if it's usable power, but in order to use your motor to its full potential, I wholeheartedly believe that the answer lies in your chassis.
I agree with that.
Because like I said, the bikes today, like Yamaha 450s, KTMs, they're fast, they're strong, especially the Yamaha. They're extremely strong. But if the bike doesn't handle, you can't really use that power. Otherwise, it'll just spit you off. You're on the ground.
Exactly. The bike's fighting you the whole time, which makes it you lose confidence, which means you go slower. You're guessing yourself. It's a whole, you know, domino effect.
Absolutely. And it's a lot of people, unfortunately, depending on whatever, get lost in the whole like, oh, the secret lies in horsepower, which for some it does. But I completely disagree that, you know, with that whole idea, only in the fact that if you can't use that power, it's just, you know, it's kind of for nothing unless you like to do things like that. Some people do like to make a fire breather. Great. But I'd like to use it, you know, it's like, I would like to be able to hit a corner, you know, without the bike wanting to throw me off or hit a jump that doesn't shoot me 100 feet past just because I gave it a little extra gas.
I'm the same way. Honestly, if I have my choice in it, which usually I do, I don't do any motor mods really. I get half the time I choose like the slower vet map just because I want my power to be usable. I don't want a fire breathing dragon. I'm not a skinny guy, so the 250s usually aren't going to cut it for me at certain tracks. So I go 450, and I the first thing I do is make sure I grease linkage, bearings, steering bearings, all that stuff. Suspension goes right out right after that. So I barely even ride it.
You know, exactly.
Yeah, because I mean, I can't have a bike that's going to fight me that also has that much damn power. So, and then, you know, durability stuff, skid plates, radiator braces, because, you know,
the essentials.
The essentials.
It's mostly the essentials, you know, just a lot of that for us, especially for me, was trial and error, you know. I used to do all kinds of stuff to the point of where, you know, I thought about titanium, which I had no business thinking about buying titanium bolts. You know, it's just because of the cool factor. But, you know, with the bikes today, you know, when you look at suspension and stuff, it is eons better than what it used to be.
Yes, most definitely.
You know, it's kind of cool, kind of like how history kind of repeats itself, because back in the day with two strokes, you know, I could be wrong. My knowledge hasn't been all that great, but I know through learning from Kenny that the factories could do so much with the two strokes before, you know, you started just plateauing. And a privateer could get close too.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yep.
Because, you know, there wasn't much you could do to them.
Yep.
But once they went to the 4-stroke, it completely changed the game. And then the privateer unfortunately got thrown back.
Yeah.
And now that the factories are, I guess, paying attention to how the atmosphere of racing is changing, that riders are getting faster. They want more power. They want a better feeling chassis. So now we'll look at the Works edition. KTM figured it out right from day one with the Dungey edition.
Yep.
Because, you know, back in the day, I remember Kenny telling me they used to talk about doing factory editions back when the 2-strokes, when RC still rode 2-strokes.
Yeah.
They thought about doing that, but some of the manufacturers didn't think that it would be sellable. Which,
where were they wrong?
You know, right? They only made 100 of those Dungeys, and just they sold like hotcakes.
Yeah.
And then, you know, now the Japanese manufacturers are now catching wind and catching on to that.
Yes. Yep.
And now they're, you know, they got their monster editions. Cowie just has their SR, and they have their Roxon editions and everything. Yep. People are buying them.
Yes.
And they're giving them, and what's cool, at least for the privateer, they're giving them a little bit of a fighting chance with some of those things that they can't, that back in the day for an A kit, you would have to spend 13 grand.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm not mistaken, some of the internals today are relatively close to what the A kit for a consumer was, you know, 10 years ago.
Yes.
So that's a plus, you know, and
for sure.
All the R&D and everything is in the R. When you get to R&D, man, that stuff is crazy.
Insane.
And that's the stuff I thrive off of was R&D.
Yeah.
That's finding how things change, like things can make a bike better. It's unreal.
Exactly. Hey man, it's like Lego pieces at that point. Going to the chat really quick. We got Fire at Will, always a big supporter of what we're doing. We appreciate you, Will, checking in. Will saying you gotta say I agree 100% with what's being said. I just dropped all my coin into suspension, new bearings, maintenance stuff over big power things, and he's gearing down his 350 at the moment. I mean, dude, being realistic with yourself and everything like that, like you're saying, is absolutely paramount. I can't tell you how much it matters to get the bike working for you, just like Ozzy said. Let's see. Also checking in is that Derek Sorensen? Derek did it. Settings and testing are the key. Better than kit. 100% Derek. I think that's what matters, man. And if that's Derek Sorensen, he knows what's up for sure when it comes to that stuff. Going back to the broadcast right now, we just hit the 450 heat number ones. We got Webb and Muskin running 1 and 2 with Malcolm behind them. Ozzy, you've been around the sport for a while, like I keep saying. What are your thoughts on Malcolm Stewart? Because arguably this is the best we've seen Malcolm in a long time. He's on he lost weight. He's on the Alden Baker program, which you know is like almost an instant championship get right there when you're on his program. He's on a team that makes him seem like he's really comfortable. He's confident on the bike. He's fast. What do you think is a missing variable for Mookie when it comes to being able to lock down a win? Because I mean, dude, he's knocking on the door of one, it looks like to me, but just he can never get the job done, man. What are your thoughts?
Oh man, you know, it's funny because every rider has a checklist that they have to mark off when it comes to their craft, you know, their bike, their training, their mental game. Everything is in rotation. You know, you're practicing, your sleep, your diet, everything. And you go through a process of elimination of checking all those off.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, if you look at Malcolm, a lot of things that have cost him have been certain mistakes that he's made that were, you know, an average person would never walk away from.
Yeah. And
luckily for him, you know, he's built like a tank. He's strong to take that type of abuse.
Yeah.
But he's unfortunately a little bit of a late bloomer, but it almost seems, I can't judge him to say it's completely mental because I'm not him. I don't know what he's thinking or what he feels. And then there's days that you're just look at Webb, you know, he starts up front, but then he fades back. Is that a physical issue? Is it a mental issue? And it's a gamble. But for Malcolm, I think it's just trying to eliminate those mistakes, which might be a mental thing, because depending on if his bike feels good, then, you know, that's he can ride it like you know, you know, it's another appendage. Basically, it's another arm or another leg. You're so in tune with your bike that you can literally just do whatever you want with it. And I think he has, but I just, for some reason, feel like he's finally like honing in on that. He's honing in on that, getting comfortable. He seems to be happy with where he's at. I mean, look at his results. His results have been great this year.
Yeah, they have.
And he hasn't had huge injuries, you know, knock on wood.
Yep.
And I think once he gets, it's just another mental wall, or not really a mental wall, but it's a wall that most riders face before they break through it and, like, say, get their first win.
Yeah. And I really hope it happens, man. Cause I mean, he's got such a following, and he's so awesome to ride. And honestly, one of the most amazing things is that he is so animated and so likable and so talented in his own, that a lot of people, which, you know, I know was an issue at first, they don't even consider him like really like a Stewart, you know what I mean? Like, not in his brother's shadow. He's his own guy, which I think is absolutely phenomenal right now. You know what I mean? The fact that he's able to carve out his own niche in the sport. And a lot of kids that like Mookie don't even know about his brother. You know what I mean? They got no idea really who James Stewart is, which is sad. It makes me feel old.
Thing. Like, that's like I said, that's hard to do, especially, I mean, like, for example, you know, Ryan, John's kid, you know, he had to live in his dad's shadow as well.
Yeah.
I remember when we went his first year, when he went pro, we went to High Point, and I remember fans coming up to him saying, like, oh, you know, I love your dad, and, you know, I hope, you know, you can kind of take the mantle. You know, obviously Ryan, you know, took it with grace and everything, but I know it kind of bugged him because
for sure,
you know, he's not his dad. And even John told him, like, you're not me. But sometimes even John would tell me, like, he's like, I kind of feel bad because, you know, he's in my shell, like Stewart.
Yeah.
You know, guy was a monster in the sport. You know, he's you and I our favorite racer because what he could do on a dirt bike. Like,
exactly.
And it's unfortunately a certain torch, but it's how you deal with that and how you make your own person by just doing something completely different.
Yes.
Whether it be your appearance, your whole makeup, and how you approach things, because you know, Malcolm's driven, but but what's cool is, like, he tastes it. He's been on the box.
Yeah.
He knows what it takes to win.
Yeah.
But it's just when you finally crack the code, and what's funny is racing is such a poker game. It is such a chess game, because it's just, nowadays you go, it's just, I hope it's not just luck, you know, because you work your ass off to be up there, to be up top, and to win. But then you know, like, if say, like, as a racer, when you won your race, or when I won my race, my first race, I didn't show up going expecting to win.
Yeah.
I was just expecting to have fun.
Yeah. No,
and
for
we
sure.
Break all that down. And I'm telling you, though, when he gets that win, it's such an intoxicating feeling. It's just, you want more of it, and you don't know. And what's cool is when you win, you know how to win.
Yes,
exactly. You know the pace that you have to run. You know, it gives you such an upper hand.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, like, once he figures it out, he's going to be good. He is good either way. Yes. Like, but I agree with you. Like, he needs to win. He needs a win, because I'm telling you, that's going to bring him to that level.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you can tell that he's got all the things he needs. He's got the ingredients. It's just getting it all together, man, and figuring out, putting yourself in a good position to do it, right? Good start, knowing and managing your own race, honing in your racecraft, all that stuff. All of that needs to come together. So I think it's coming. Hopefully our third guest is coming right now, because it looks like she's trying to connect to audio and get set up. So we're trying to get Boots on here. She says she's got a dinosaur of a laptop, so we'll give her a little bit of leeway. Ozzy, I wanted to get your take. Obviously, we've been fans of sport for a while. We want to, or at least I want to talk about 2022 as a whole. So we've seen a lot of cool things, a lot of guys changing bike colors. We've seen some unique looking tracks. We've seen unique setups. We've seen close racing. We've seen guys run away with it. What are your thoughts on the 22 season as Brittany finally checks in with us after shoveling the coal into her?
I dug the dinosaur up.
Had to wake it up.
Yeah.
Nice shirt.
Oh God.
Well, so do you mean like as just where the sport is in 2022, or
just your thoughts on the season so far?
Oh man, the season's been great. Like the racing has been pretty intense. Like it's been more intense than I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And like you said, you and I have seen the days, when RC and all those guys were battling, but like the field is so deep this year with guys that are still around.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Reed, only retired a couple of years ago or a year ago, whatever.
Yeah.
He was still throwing it in there.
Still competitive.
It's just like how many privateers qualify nowadays? It's a very small percentage, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because the field there's so many good guys that are just, it's almost like the sport is just going almost too fast in a certain way. It's because I've never seen a wave of racers like this where you go from, remember in like 08, 09 when Villo and all those guys, like your top 5 or top 7 were gnarly dudes and the rest were, not taking away from them. I mean, they're dudes, but like to get to that level was another step in its own. But now your field is like back to the top 20.
Yeah.
Like that's brutal.
You've got past Supercross winners and champions in 10th through 15th place. And that's where they are week after week. It's pretty stacked. Brittany, I'll kick it over to you for the same question. Deer in headlights. What are your thoughts on the season so far? What are your thoughts on the season?
Oh, it's I think it's definitely different than the past few.
Yep.
Like it seems like there's a lot more injuries for some reason. Not sure. I don't really know what to say right now. I'm all flustered. My computer's like.
Oh man.
Yeah, we got to get you back or something.
I don't know. I think this season's just been kind of gnarly. Everyone's getting hurt. Everyone's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with what Ozzy said, and I'll throw in one extra is I think this is a first year that people are kind of like starting to enjoy and make changes that work for them. So this is the first time we're seeing Eli kind of look like he's having fun for the first time in a very long time, right? You see Jason Anderson's on a position where he really enjoys what he's doing right now. You know what I mean? We can say the same thing about Brayton in his farewell tour. Same thing about Mookie, we just mentioned. Everyone looks like they made a move that ultimately leads to them being a lot more free, a lot more fun having, a lot more just comfortable on their machine. So that's what I like it, man. I mean, we saw some of the coolest racing between JA and Tomac this year. That's just, to me, some of the dopest racing, man. That's the kind of racing that I love to watch. So that's what, I mean, I thought it was cool. One thing that I hope they freaking do, and it's driving me insane, is I want to see more freaking booters like they had at Atlanta. I want to see more
freaking booters.
Dude, I want to see more cool. I'm sick of seeing this, like this weekend's track. Absolute garbage to me. It looks so boring. There's like maybe 2 serious rhythms, and like everything else is super tight and broken down. I'm not sad I missed this race, but Atlanta, something like that, bro. I would be like behind the gate just losing my mind. And you know what I mean? Like that stuff is what we need more of. More cool tracks, more cool jumps, more cool layouts, more passing. I don't know, man. I hope they change it up or something, man. Get these tracks to go a little bit better, because
all the tracks seem pretty similar.
Yeah.
Even very cookie cutter.
They are. And even on track walk, man, it's like, do you really even have to do track walk? Like, there's a couple this year where we're like, man, like this looks the same as
well, it's crazy
we had last weekend,
remember, some of the guys will actually, like, you talk to some of them, they can actually tell you how long a triple is because everything's built to scale.
Yeah.
Whereas don't forget, back in the day, and with McGrath and all those dudes, there really wasn't much of a science behind of how to build a moto track, at least in a stadium.
Yeah.
And when you back then when they would jump triples and stuff like that, that was gnarly shit.
Yep.
And I remember Dowdy would say that he used to measure jumps by walking because his, he had a size 12 foot. So I can't remember, but he would measure by walking from the lip to the landing in order how to judge how far he had to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it also depends on the arena they're in, like the floor space. When you look at it on television, it looks like a fairly good size arena, but
they're small.
I can guarantee it's not. It's tiny.
Yes. Yeah.
And when you have a floor plan that allows you to have space and to move and to build obstacles like Daytona, Atlanta, that's usually when you see some of the best racing, because it opens up. Everything opens up. Everything's not so constrictive and hourglass, like
exactly
one line tracks and everything. It's just, we all live off, bar to bar racing type of thing. If you were to say that, and it seems like the bigger stadiums allow for it because they just have the more room for it. You can only build so much in a fishbowl.
No, for sure.
Arena cross. I mean, unless you want to get crazy like arena cross, where the rules go out the window.
yeah, that's a man for himself. Yeah, we definitely need to open up these stadiums a little bit, so bigger floor prints. Something like you said, Atlanta, Daytona. I'll even throw in Glendale. That's a really big floor print as well. Something like that would be much better. Speaking of opening up, we saw Webb I think he's sitting out outdoors for the KTM squad, getting himself all better and healed up. Fire at Will had a good question in the chat, man. What do you think he's going to do for 23? Is he going to go on the red bikes? Is he going to start looking at some green bikes? Like, what are your thoughts? Start with you, Ozzy, and then we'll get to you, Brittany.
Honestly, unfortunately, in today's world, or depending on whatever, it's whatever the agent says.
Yeah.
It's like where can he go to where he feels that he can have success and longevity?
Yep.
How long does he feel like he wants to be in the tank?
Yep.
But he also has to make the decision. Does he feel like he can win?
Yeah.
On whatever he so chooses to do. Like, look at Eli, I don't know what went on at Cowie. I know through past hearing through interviews and stuff, a lot of people just didn't gel at Kawasaki, depending because of how it was ran, either at the top or at the manager level or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you hear guys talk about like Bobby or like the guys at Star, all they want to do is win, and they're going to do whatever it takes to win.
Yeah.
And, the owner, Cole Harley, said that. It's just like or like how Mitch Payton was back in the, like Mitch still loves to win. Like I know he's pulling his hair out over there, but depending on what the rider wants to do and where he feels that he has the most success. But, how racing is to making a career out of it.
Tough.
It's almost next to impossible unless you're signed. You're just, and honestly, people will say it's greed, but I feel like if it gives you longevity and keeps you in the sport and whatever, then that's the path you take. Whatever feels right for you, that's the path you take.
No, it all makes sense. Yeah. The careers in this sport are very hard to come by. So they're pretty short compared to other sports, Right. I mean, you're an old man in this sport when you're 27, 28.
Yeah.
Man. Like that, I'm
33 and I'm ancient.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's almost to the point where, your window for success is a third of what it is in some other sports, right? So you have to get every ounce of opportunity out of what you have going on. Brittany, I'll throw it to you. What do you think Webb's options are for 2023? What do you think he's going?
Hold on, I'm in okay. I don't know. I mean, I think they're obviously like on edge with him right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of tough. It'd be cool to see him be able to come back like how he was last year and just run the field again. But he's gonna have to put in work to get back to where he was.
I think so too. I could see him being someone that like a gas or to Will's point, or like a Calby would try to scoop up. You know what I mean? Like
he would probably do good on a bike with a bike switch.
Yeah, I think he'd be fast at anything, right? As long as they're able to help him set it up. I mean, maybe he goes back to Yamaha. I mean, they've got a whole freaking basketball team over there, right?
Like you said about Eli, he went back to Yamaha and he's a whole different person this year. So like,
yeah, and like Ozzy mentioned, those bikes are fast. They're
fast.
For Eli, for him, I think he feels that he's in a better working environment, which means it releases so much of a monkey off your back of that you can just focus on one thing, and that's winning.
Yes.
And because everybody behind you is going to do whatever it takes to help you to win.
Yes.
And sometimes, unfortunately, it seems with the other teams, there's only so much that they will allow their riders to do. I mean, I could be wrong, but it's like, when Roxon was on Suzuki with Soaring Eagle, I remember I think he ran OEM clamps.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they got into an argument. Maybe, I don't know. That's what I read or whatever. But the factory clamps, he didn't like them because it could be the material they were made of. They were too rigid or whatever. But the stock OEM clamp allowed a characteristic that he felt benefited him. And when he made the change, his riding changed and he started doing better. And that, like, again, it's just another process of elimination of how you work through the trenches to get better.
Yeah.
So Eli is obviously 100% happy where he is.
Yeah.
Anderson seems to be happy where he is. They obviously have something figured out over there that he apparently gels with.
Yeah.
Obviously Coop is struggling. I feel it's a little bit of, it's a new generation bike as well, because it could be the bike. Maybe he's not happy with it in certain aspects. KTM right now is kind of under the weather a little bit.
It certainly seems like that, right?
Right. You go from dominant to just, uh-oh.
Yep.
He could just be wicked burnt out too, because he worked so hard last year.
Right.
He probably just got burnt out chasing.
For sure. Most definitely. Shout out to Flavio Cesar in the chat. Thanks for tuning in. Looks like you're from Brazil. Appreciate the love. So I've got another question for you guys when it comes to all that. So is there a team that, if your foot was to the fire, we were like, you know what, Brittany, we got a magic wand, we're gonna make you a factory rider, take your pick a color, take your pick a team, what team would you pick as like this is a team that I'm gonna go to? I know what you're gonna say based off of your recent purchase. but what would it be for you?
Come on, we all know I bleed blue.
Oh, now. Okay.
I don't know. It's tough. Not really. I mean, Star's a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're really, really good team. But I don't know. I can't go past blue.
Oof. Okay. Kind of on there, but okay. No. I mean, it makes sense. And they're definitely they'd be something I consider as well.
KTM is obviously their teams are really good, but they're so strict. I don't think I don't have a filter on my mouth, so I'd be like, oh my god, shut the fuck up. I'm gonna go. I don't know. It feels like what we're saying with Eli. He has more freedom now on Yamaha, so I feel like that would be more of the team I would lean on. Is
it a pen in your hand? This looks like a lightsaber for a second.
What? This?
Yeah.
Lip gloss?
Oh, no, that's
I thought it was like a mini lightsaber. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
My side gig.
What would be your pick, Ozzy?
Kawasaki.
Man.
Ozzy's on 3 different bike brands right now. So.
Exactly. That's why I have to ask him, because I feel like Ozzy could fit in any team he's going to. So I want to know what his choice would be.
I mean, honestly, that's hard, man. That's a hard thing there.
See, you're laughing at me.
At heart, I am a Cowie guy.
Uh-huh.
When I got into the sport after watching Bubs ripping around on 252 stroke at Southwick,
Mhm.
you know, that kind of just did it for me.
Yep.
But I know through a lot of the channels, especially through hearing Kenny when he worked at Honda,
Mhm.
you know, all the stories he used to tell me about working at Honda with Ernesto, like,
Yeah.
you know, that place is phenomenal with their R&D department, and just like they come up with some cool shit, man. Like really, like a lot of the stuff that he used to tell me that they would test, and I'm just like, man, that must have been something, you know, at least in the sport when he worked there, those were somewhat what you call the pioneer days to what is today's modern four stroke.
Yeah.
I probably would go with Honda.
Ooh, I like that. If I had to pick, I'd probably say I'd like either Star Racing, because I feel like I could have so much freedom to do what I want. Like I could literally run the collective and still do that. Like, yeah, I'm on your side, Brittany. All right, whatever. And then if it came down to it though, like I'd also consider Gas, man. I love the way the team is. Everyone seems cool. I heard you know, Keith is a pretty good dude to be around when it comes to running a good program. So I could definitely see that being an option for myself too. So, you know, pretty much wherever my agent Ozzy says to go is where I would. Because Ozzy, if I was pro, you would be one of the first people I would call and say like, hey, we need to work on these contracts. I'm flying you out. Let's talk. You know,
right?
Brittany, I definitely let you run my day-to-day as manager, Brittany. Don't worry. But Ozzy's
be all over the place.
I'll manage your social medias.
Yeah, there you go.
Why does this keep exiting?
Yeah, you know, it's so cool though. Like, it's funny how we were talking about how certain teams are just like, we know, honestly, like today, like when I went to Gillette, I walked around in the pits and I go, what team is that?
Yeah.
What team is that? And, you know, like I kept walking up and down going, who's this guy? Who's that guy?
Yeah.
You know, like there's so many teams that are popping up. Like there's another couple Honda teams.
Yep.
And stuff like that, which is, you know, I was kind of, I have to say, a little surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's cool to see though, that some people are willing to, you know, give it a shot.
Yeah.
And,
no, most definitely.
As I, you know, used to say, or we say, it's like, if your budget isn't $1 million, I mean, you're good for them. My hat's off to them, because, you know, like I said, when we had our team, you know, we had, thankfully, what got us through was our sponsors. You know, they gave us some faith in, you know, that, you know, some of the, as they say, the shit hit the fan in certain spots, especially when it came to the first round.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes you just got to take a leap and a plunge. Yeah. To see what could happen.
Most definitely.
But like I said, you know, it's cool to see other teams like popping up and filling the gate, for so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. So just this year, we've got 2 new Honda teams. We've got the Firepower Honda. We got the SGB Honda.
Yeah.
I mean, they're rolling out, man. They're definitely rolling out.
Awesome. It's awesome to see. It really is.
Yep. Speaking of Honda, I've been you know, really wrapping my brain around the whole like EV movement. I work for an EV dirt bike startup down here in Texas, so obviously I look at that stuff every day. But like I've been looking at, you know, the mini class bikes, right? So, you know, we're always looking at the next generation of moto goers and off-road enthusiasts. And we keep seeing, you know, the STACYCs of the world pop up, the little E Huskies, the EKTM, stuff like that. What are the chances that you think that we would see like Honda get into like more of the mini class side, where we see a new electric 50 Honda or a gas powered 50 65 or something like that, maybe going back to the 85 2-stroke? Do you think those days are pretty much done for us right now, or what are your thoughts?
I think the 85s and the 65s, you know, I think those days are done. When it comes to that, because obviously if they haven't made a plunge yet, I doubt they're going to. And obviously with the development nowadays with electric bikes, KTM obviously has their 50. There's I think another company I thought I heard was doing something in development and they have the e-bike classes and everything.
Yeah.
I think that's the general direction that the manufacturers are going to start going, because with the state of how the world is right now, depending on, the last thing I want to do is talk politics. I have no time for it. But unfortunately, politics right now is what's running the world.
Yeah.
And it's also running what corporations are doing, because stockholders, shareholders, or whatever, unfortunately have the reins tightened on a lot of these companies, so to say, the suits at, like, say, for example, Cali or Honda or whatever, they want to get in on the new green scene, because if they feel that that's where the world's headed, is if they throw their cards in and whatnot, it could for them, put them in a better spot globally and especially politically. Because, with fossil fuels and everything, even though there is an abundance of it, but obviously people don't want it anymore, which it is what it is.
Yeah.
So it's not going to happen overnight. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to take some time. So there's still hope for us traditionalists.
Yeah.
But I can see on the rise for sure, at least in the 50s, when they start getting kids, like, look at the STASIC program right now.
Blowing up.
Huge. And right now at Southwick, KJ talked to the guy, the STASIC guy, actually at Loretta's, when he went to do Loretta's, and they worked out a deal and whatnot, and we're building a STASIC track at the track in the pit. And we've got all the material and everything. We started somewhat building the walls around it, and just need to lay out the track itself. And then I think Keith was talking about putting lights up at night to have night riding, because they're electric bikes and whatnot. And it was crazy of how much that has taken off. When he first put on Facebook that he was getting involved in STASIC, he got hundreds of emails,
holy crap,
messages from people that have no idea anything about the sport, only because it was something that is appeasing to, the kids and the parents, as something that's like, a parent would gasp, don't want to put their kids on a motorcycle with, fuel and, a death machine basically, but something that was just battery operated and whatnot, and kind of quote unquote safe.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. Yep. I mean, they're only pushing X amount, and I mean, they're practically walking with them with their feet. So now that that's taking off, mind you, the manufacturers will start looking at that more, because it's going to grow. And honestly, like they say, the kids are the future of the sport.
Yep.
And whatever secures their interest, that's the direction they're going to go.
For sure. And there's so much money to be made in that movement too. It's going to be, you imagine that they're going to go to that avenue. Like I said, company I work for, our whole portfolio is EV off-road and off-road dirt bikes, right? So there's definitely a huge market for it, and I'm really excited for what the future holds, man. I mean, all the kids that we have now, because think about it, Ozzy. I mean, like, you and I kind of started a little bit later in terms of when, typically people start in the sport,
right? But
I'm looking at like people that, you typically start about 5 or 6 traditionally, when you can ride a PW50, you ride that for a year or two, then you graduate to, 50 senior, then a 65. Now kids can hop on a STASIC at 1.5, right? As long as you can balance and walk, you can pretty much ride a STASIC, right? And I wonder what that's going to do, having that 2 to 3 year head start in those foundational, fundamental years of learning how to do motorcycle, quote unquote, stuff. Right. What that's actually going to do for the next generation. We're going to see just every kid being the next Jet Lawrence because he just started riding out of the womb. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much that could stem from all of this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And, also too, if that wave, so to say, happens, the sport's going to take a big leap in a different direction in order to make sure that it happens and it secures their future into, having races and stuff and more competition, which again, for traditionalists, they don't like it, but it's, you can't stop progress. That's the way it is. And if it secures the fact of securing another Jet Lawrence, I think it's a necessity.
Yeah.
And I mean, if it puts a light on our sport more than what it already is, because don't forget, our sport has always been an outlaw sport.
Yeah.
You could barely find it on television, like what is the Outdoor Channel or the Hunting Channel or back in the day.
Yeah.
And now it's, on NBC, they're trying to put it in the limelight. And, obviously the crowds, you look at the stadiums, they're starting to get bigger. Even though at core, I'm an outdoor guy, but that is a cool, like Supercross is a cool thing, man. And let me tell you, if grooming kids, with that type of a program, I think it's a good thing.
No, honestly. I definitely agree. It opens up the places we can ride too, because now we can ride more urban areas. We don't have to drive 2 hours into the cornfields to ride.
Well, yeah, man. So, like, remember when you were living here in Connecticut? Remember how many sand pits we used to ride in,
dude?
There were places which today's racer, at least young kids, have no idea.
Yeah,
like they have no clue of, like, we call it, the holy ground, basically, of the sand pits that we used to ride in, that you'd load your truck up with, a 5-gallon pail and just spend hours burning motos or laps or just hitting berms and stuff all day long. Yes. Which was a huge factor in our skill development.
Yep.
But unfortunately, like I said, when times have changed and whatever wave is hitting us now has unfortunately constricted the sport into what it is, that we lost all those places to ride. Yeah. To the point of where it's practically criminal to unload your dirt bike. Definitely. Unfortunately, but last time I rode in a sand pit, I remember a cop showed up and whatnot, and I didn't even have my bike out of the truck. And then, those places are all gone, unfortunately, but I see hopefully a glimmer of hope. At least that's the pro to me of the electric wave, is that could we get those places back? Because most of the issues was the noise. It was just the noise. People hated the noise. And, which, I mean, as a mechanic and, I can only listen to dirt bikes for so long, after, I know that's blasphemy, but
Brittany might not agree with us.
It's just, your ears can only take so much. Like I have tendonitis in my ears from, from, being a musician at the same time, but years of just dirt bikes, revving dirt bikes, standing behind the starting gates, my own dirt bike, I ride around with earplugs, not, I know they say, oh, the earplug thing is a fad. Like, no, it's not.
It's needed.
Helmets today, depending on what you buy, in today's bikes, like my Cowie, no matter what pipe I put on, the thing's just loud.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I took your advice. I went and picked up a 60, or I got a 60 for a present, and man, I thoroughly enjoy it.
Nice.
Thoroughly enjoy it.
They're comfy, man. They're comfy. They're light.
Yes. Yeah. That just reminded me.
They're a good helmet. A very good helmet.
Yeah. The 60.
Oh.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Brittany? How long could you stand around and listen to dirt bikes for?
I'll be honest. 2 strokes annoy the piss out of me now. So they make me cringe. Some of them sound okay, but I can't stand around those for a long time.
You know what's crazy? It's going to sound absolutely nuts to people. If I listen to 4 strokes, especially in Supercross, for too long, I start to get sleepy, and it kind of puts me to sleep a little bit. Like the same, like burr up, like over and over. Like if I sit in the stands and I'm watching, I can literally feel myself. Think about this. Like this year, I missed maybe about like 5 or 6 races, but like race after race after race, Supercross after Supercross after Supercross. You're tired. You're getting in at midnight. You're getting up at 6. Like you're running around all dang day. Like you start to like. It's like a lullaby. If I hear bikes revving in the background, I'm like, oh God, no, I can't. I gotta race soon. I can't be falling asleep right now. You know what I mean? Like it's starting to like. I don't know what it is. I think I just gotta like take my summer and just like relax for a little bit, and maybe I can stay awake.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
Oh yeah, you know.
Qualifying during what was it, Gillette that just passed a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
I was literally in the stands like fighting, like staying awake. I'm like, you don't freaking sleep
You
right
slap
now.
yourself.
Yes, dude, it was getting bad. I had to go for a walk. I had to stand up. I had to like, it's crazy.
I only made it for the main, so I was pretty solid.
Yeah, there you go.
I got lost in there though.
Showing up late to your home race? What do you
I had a baby shower to go to.
Okay.
That was a whole can of worms that, you know, yeah.
Gotcha.
What? Can of worms?
Yeah.
There were no worms. It's not my baby.
Oh jeez.
Oh geez.
Goodness. Yeah, that'd be a problem. Yeah, but no, it's starting to get crazy to me, especially Ozzy brought it up earlier. And for those of you guys watching, Ozzy and I were lucky enough that we had one of the coolest indoor tracks like in the world, just maybe like 20-30 minutes from our house.
Yeah.
So we were able to literally ride every day, even being in New England. Like we were able to ride literally whenever we wanted. It was kind of like really cool because it kind of introduced us to Supercross probably before any of us were ready for it. So, but it kind of baby stepped you into it a little bit. But you know, just being at that place and flagging for all those years and stuff, and man, listening to a 50cc bike now drives me insane. Oh man,
it's like I love the little guys, but man, you know, when they go by, it's like I always wonder, like, when was the last time his dad packed the silencer?
Yeah, just
because they come by you and it just ran. And
yeah,
you know, it's just like, I know it's I guess you would say it's mean, but you know, hearing that every weekend, every day, especially, you know, as a flagger, or it's kind of torturous, honestly.
And they all get on the gas in the exact same place. They ride those bikes the exact same way. I'm like, dude, you get out here. Like when the kids are out, like let me go rake leaves out back or something. And like, please, I can't.
Right.
But it is cool to see the Groms out there, you know.
Doing you know, it is cool to see that though. And you know, it's funny, like Winchester, the series up here are I think they have a PW50 class.
Yeah.
And it's only one moto, you know, for the whole day. But I remember when they first had it, I think it was a couple years ago, it was almost a full gate.
Wow.
Like, and it was just really cool to see though, like little PW50s ripping around, you know, somehow just they could barely get around the track, and you know, Winchester's flat, there's no elevation, and just watching them struggle busting through all the ruts.
I love them,
you know. Exactly. And
oh geez,
but nowadays too, it's just like it's so crazy, and it lets, you know, kids are the ultimate fast forward button in life. And you know, being at Southwick, watching everybody, watching all the kids and everything, especially in the 65 class, in the 80 class, you know, they're hucking like the finish line at Southwick, and setting the finish line at Southwick is not small.
No.
TV does not do the finish line justice. It's actually pretty big.
Yep.
And let me tell you, if you come up short on it, it is not forgiving.
Yeah.
But you know, they're hucking it.
Yeah.
Like it just goes, and I just go, man, you know, I'm gonna sell my bike. I freaking suck.
No,
see it just going by and just crazy. You know, hucking the thing. It's just like, what?
Yeah. Well, I will say, watching the little kids ride and race and stuff makes me think like, okay, the whole kid thing would be pretty cool if, you know, you get a kid and they can race dirt bikes with you. But then I think about it for a minute. I'm like, you know what? Never mind. They're not
They're
that
cool when you can give them back.
Yeah. So when me and my brother, we're 15 years apart. So I bought him his first PW when he was a baby. When he was about like maybe 3 or so, got a PW, working together as much as he could help, right? And that was a cool thing because I was like, oh, dude, I can bring this little baby to the track. He kind of looks like me a little bit, but he's not my kid. I can just like really kick him over and say like, oh, I'm tired, Dad, you tag in, right? So that part was cool. But yeah, I mean, I do see my buddies that have kids and their kids are riding, and it looks pretty cool. But then I think about it, I'm like, man, they're paying for their entry, their kids' entry. Most of their wives ride, their wives' entry, and God forbid a bike breaks, and you're buying that bike, and then hopefully your bike doesn't break, and it just
and the shit ton of moto gear because they grow every freaking 2 weeks.
Yeah. Ooh, that's tough. Speaking of moto gear, if you guys want to look good this year, get rocked out and get drippy, check out fxrmoto.com. They'll get you fxrracing.com, fxrmoto on Instagram. They're getting you really, really dripped up in some of the coolest kits. Their Revo line for 2022 is absolutely incredible. Keeps me looking good, keeps me cool in the summertime, and helps me to keep some money in my pocket because it's so durable and keeps you going. Now, if you're watching this, I want to hook you up. Use promo code TCEFXR 3013, I think. It's linked below. Look at the link below in the description. We've got some promo codes for you. I can't keep all of them straight. Look at the description below. Check them out. 3012 TCEFXR 3012. And that's going to get you 30% off your next FXR Moto kit, courtesy of the Collective Experience. Pair that with some really cool Flow Vision goggles with the promo code DING right below, and you're going to be looking just as cool as the top guys in Supercross. Sorry, I had to get
scene.
Sorry, I had to get my plug in. Sorry. gotta help the people
Hashtag
out.
ad. Hashtag sponsored.
Hey, you got to keep Andy happy, you know?
Yeah, dude. Hey, if Andy's not happy, no one's happy.
Oh, I know.
I got it. Every time I see Andy, I got to keep that smile on his face, man.
Yep. Yeah, he's a great guy, man.
I love him.
Really good dude.
And you know what's crazy is this is why I love my Canadian people, because everybody from like his area, Manitoba area, over to like more of the East Coast, like Toronto-ish, and like even going into like Montreal and stuff, they are big fans of New England Moto. Like they all come down to New England to ride. So a lot of the tracks that we start talking about, like Southwick, we say, Jolly back in the day, a lot of these guys are like, oh yeah, I've been there before. It's like they all kind of know the same people, know the tracks. Like, Brittany, you can go to Canada right now and fit in like you were born there. Trust me. Yeah,
New England guys. Some certain New England guys are synonymous with Canada, man. Like
exactly.
Treadwell and
Treddy, yep.
KJ. Those guys are royalty in Canada.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember literally this is a throwback, Ozzy, when the 06 250F Cowie came out and how unique it looked compared to all the other four strokes 250s and how like it was groundbreaking, new frame, like it still carbureted, but like
right.
Bassiati had just picked it up, and I think they were at Walton, and it was like the last race of the season. And they were screaming for Treadwell, and they're like, "Dude, Iron Mike Treadwell, Money in the Bank. This dude, he's always good for a top 3 or top 5." Like I just remember screaming about Mike Treadwell and the freaking Canadian Moto. Those are some of the best commentators in the sport.
Oh yeah, dude.
In the world, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of changed today, but I remember me and Marco used to watch some of the Canadian Nationals and when they were on television or whenever we could catch them. Yeah. And dude, like, the commentators were talking about last place. Like they were going, like even the cameras would show a battle for last place. And the commentators were just going to town, dude, talking about it, dude. Like,
how awesome is that?
Dude, like Canada is something else, man. Like it's a completely different atmosphere up there.
I love it. I will say, I love my home. I love New England.
Oh yeah.
I really, really love Texas. Like, really love Texas. And man, if you were saying, hey, where else would you want to live outside the country, dude? I'm like, Canada, man.
Oh
like,
yeah.
The moto scene would they embrace you so well, and it's just so laid back. Like, dude, all day.
Oh yeah. So like, like you said, I've been around and seen, Supercross and stuff like that, and outdoor motos and whatever have you. And as a mechanic or whatever, like the most fun I had was going up to Canada with Ryan.
Gotcha.
And we did Sandalee, we did Gopher Dunes.
Oh, that place is
brutal. Gopher Dunes is no joke. Like it is insane. Think of it as like, take for example, like this track here, a soupy track, put these style of jumps on a beach sand track.
Yep.
And Southwick, I'll have to say, I'll throw it in there. It has a little bit of a harder base in it, but I mean deep beach sand, where it's so fine. And it's like, I remember when we went up there in 2017, and we drove by the track. Like we were in Dowdy's RV, and we were driving by it, and it changed hands. The sun took over. Yeah. And I remember Johnny. He would tell me, he's like, "Yeah, it's cool. It's flat, kind of like Winchester, but they put like rollers and some tabletops and stuff like that. And, it's a really cool sand track." I won't forget the look on his face when we saw the finish line. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, from the lip to the landing, you could park a semi on it. It was monstrous.
Jeez.
And it was like right out of a turn practically. And the ruts going up the thing were insane. And, you know, they had like an amateur day thing going on the day before or whatever, or that morning. And, you know, they were hucking the crap out of the thing. And then there was this like triple step down in the back where just rolling it was dangerous, because I remember when we walked the track, the top of the jump was in the shape of an hourglass. So the lip was, you know, of width, but the middle thinned out.
Yeah.
So if you didn't jump, like if you made a mistake and had to half jump it, you couldn't go too far to the right or too far to the left, because you'd be basically rolling off the side of the jump.
Ooh,
and almost supercross size sand whoops in the back. And we were just like, and Dowdy was racing, John, you know, like he came off the couch on his 252 stroke.
Yeah.
And he qualified, I don't know, the guy qualified 16th, I think. Like, you know, just because he's a nut. And it was just insane. Like that track was gnarly. Like it's really cool though. Like Ryan had a pretty good race there. And then, but our favorite track in Canada to this day is Deschambault.
Nice place.
Deschambault
really super scenic. Yeah.
Dude, oh my God, what a beautiful facility. Like,
yes.
I mean, all tracks are nice, but for some reason, Deschambault is just like our Mecca. Ryan had, you know, he got a top 5 the last year he raced there, and, you know, we had a lot of good luck there. And what a cool place. It's a really cool place. If you guys, any of you get a chance to go check out Canadian Nationals, for sure, check out Deschambault. It's in Quebec. It's only about a 5-hour drive from Vermont. And well, it was 5 hours for us. And
definitely do it.
I think we were talking about going up this year with Keith.
That'd be cool.
And I think Canning and Coquinos and all those guys are probably thinking about doing it.
It'd be cool.
Not sure about.
I saw your eyes glistening, Brittany, watching little kids ride.
I love the little guys.
I saw your eyes glimmer. I was like, oh, look at this lady talking a hard game.
Look at this lady.
Oh yeah.
But look at this lady, eyes gleaming, looking at the little kids.
Cute. I love them.
Dude, Ozzy would be an awesome moto dad. he would be such a good moto dad, dude. Like, he'd have everything laid out awesome. The bikes would always be tip top. Bikes would be super dialed, like.
But I don't want to, you know, it's not going to be that spoiled. I'll go about the traditional route, like work on your own stuff.
Yeah, you better work for it. Yeah, so
I'm doing something else.
I used to hate that, dude. My dad used to, like, you know, like, obviously he loved you guys, Ozzy. You, Marco, Luke, like, would do anything. Me, completely different, dude. Like, go wash your shit. Go do.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Like being at Rocky Hill and what your dad would just like completely ignore you.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. If Marco's there, dude, no one else is there. Like to him.
Oh yeah, no one existed unless
no
Marco
one existed. Exactly. So.
Yep.
Which is like, still to this day, he's like, you know, Marco makes me so proud. I'm like, God damn it, dude. Like, come on. But dude, like literally, like working on your own stuff, man, it makes you so much more resilient when it comes to, like,
dude.
Now, dude, like I don't have to ask anyone for anything, dude. Like I might ask my buddies for a torque spec. Other than that, or like, hey man.
Yeah, me either.
You know?
Yeah.
Hey, Oz, where's my bike right now?
I have no idea.
Oh, that's hilarious. That is too.
It's cool. I still enjoy working on bikes and stuff.
Yeah, it can be therapeutic, you know.
It can be.
The Yamaha 250.
For a while, for a while there, I got sick of it. You know, I don't even really like working on my own bike if I don't have to.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I do enjoy working on other people's bikes and stuff, and just kind of whatever skills that I learned. You know.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Hey, you know, my skills got Keith Johnson is Loretta's championship, so I'll take it.
Man, to get Loretta's title, do you know that feeling, dude? Just to be able to say, like, dude, I won at Loretta's, like, oh.
Right.
And then, you know, it's crazy is that's one track where, like, they always say, like, you know, certain tracks they don't photograph nearly as gnarly as it looks, blah blah blah.
Right.
That is one place that those guys don't look like they're hauling ass that much, except for like the big sand sweeper that looks
right.
Fast. But you don't understand how rutted how slippery, how deep certain areas are, like how tight they are. And then, you know, you're looking at it, you're like, oh, these guys aren't going that fast. And it's like, no, dude, they're hauling ass for what the track allows you to do, right?
Exactly.
I watched like for example, Brad, FXR rep for the pros, super great guy. Love talking to him every weekend. And the dude is not slow, man. But at Loretta's, I think he was telling me he got like, you know, I think he just touched top 10, right? Watching this guy ride just at our local track when I was living in Wisconsin, the dude was on rails. I'm like, holy shit, if this dude is only getting 10th, I'm like, there ain't no hope for me, man. Like, this dude is like tire tapping, seat bouncing, like right out of corners and like doing crazy I didn't think you could do on a track. And he's like, yeah, man, it's tough, you know, only managed 10th. I'm like, if you only managed 2, how fast was the guy out front going, dude? Holy crap.
I know.
Lights out.
Yeah,
we always joke about that, like Marco and I was like, oh, we're going for Loretta's. I'm like, dude, we got to even make it past the regional.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, dude, it's like, crazy.
You know, I remember when Keith and Coquinos went down to Virginia for the regional, I think it was, or their qualifier.
Yeah,
you know, it was gnarly. There were some big names there. You know, Robbie went, and you know some other guys, and just like. This one guy that I know is one of Keith's friends, Jimbo. You know, he's a tough dude. Like I call him Mike. I call him Mike Treadwell, number 2.0, or junior, because he runs like 6 motos a day at Southwick. And like literally, I don't know. The guy is gnarly. Like, so I'm like, oh, you know, he'll do good at Loretta because that's what he was going for. He was going for I think 30B or something.
Yeah,
and he didn't even come close. In Virginia, I'm just like really? Jeez. You know, and then when you look at the field and look at the lap times, I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah, crazy.
Like, yeah, I have no business saying anything about trying to do Loretta's.
Man, I have a lot of buddies who are like, this is our year. I'm like, I don't know, man, because I gained 20 pounds and I haven't touched the bike in 6 months. So I don't know if it's
right.
Yeah, I think you're fine.
I don't know. Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate it.
I think it's fine. You know what might help?
What's that?
That new FXR gear, you
know? Yeah, I'll just have you do my reads for me, right?
That Yamaha. No.
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
Crickets. Brittany, you should try. You should go out for the Loretta's.
I would not make Loretta's.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, you would.
I would like to go just to like experience it all. Maybe like next year after I get used to the big girl bike. I think this bike will be better than the 125. So we'll see.
I think
I'd like to go.
There's more usable power. I think you can ride it. You can be a bit more lazy on it. You know, you have to be as perfect. But I'm telling you, Ozzy. One thing I don't know if I told you when I got down here, but I rode a couple of the tracks out here, and holy crap, dude, they are so much freaking fun. I literally felt like a teenager again, man. Like I was riding some of these, like I went to Three Palms, I rode Murphy's, and the most beautifully manicured, humongous berms out of super fast straights, right into really manageable, like just all tables.
I want to go.
Really natural elevation, dude. It was. I came off the track and I was cheesing ear to ear. I was like, dude, this, is... and like, dude, I was having so much fun, like. Dude, I was dusting off the cobwebs, right? Because I haven't ridden like solidly in like in a good while, like on a regimen, on a program, whatever. And man, I was chasing down some local pros, and I was like, oh my god, am I back? Are we back? Dad, I think I'm back. You know, I'm back, dude. It felt so awesome. Granted, they're probably on their cool down laps or whatever, but it was dude, it felt. They
were on their sight lap.
Dude, I was like, yeah, dude, we're going back to A plates, baby. Let's go. But hey, dude, Brittany, if you're ever down to come ride in Austin area, like take a trip down.
Road trip.
Or you bring Ozzy with you, because goddamn it, if I don't see him at least once a year.
Dr. Mechanic.
Dude, I saw this guy at Gillette, and I was like, ah! Dude, I was like, and then text me and say, hey, man, like, we're going to be there when I run into you. Just freaking phantomed in, just surprisingly. I was like, dude, lost my damn mind. And I didn't recognize, speaking of Ryan Dowd, didn't even recognize him sitting next to you.
Right?
Dude, I'm like, oh, hey, what's up, man? I'm Dave. Yeah, Dave, it's Ryan. I'm like, oh, shit. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. Got a little thicker, but you know, it's what
we all do,
racing.
Man. We all do, right?
Yeah, as we get older, it gets harder to keep it off, obviously.
Yeah, dude. Fire at Will in the chat is saying, I think you'll be all right. Words everybody has heard from a buddy. They should not be asking. You think I can clear that?
Yeah. Yeah, man, you got it.
You remember Dave, as Marco would say, you got it.
Oh, you got it. Yeah, you got it.
You got that.
You got that. Yeah.
As long as you got that ride to the hospital.
Yeah.
Right.
That is.
I know. He made it. He did his maiden voyage today at Southwick. It was cringe. It was cringe city.
Oh.
Really?
Marco.
What's he on? What's he on now?
Oh, his Yamaha 450. What else?
Gotcha.
That kid was born with a Yamaha t-shirt.
I love it.
Oh man, the kid is so, he's tried to, convert me so many times and has ultimately failed. I came close though. I did come close one time when they came out with the EFI bike. When Coop was on Star. That was a good looking bike.
I think I have a text message of you saying you were thinking of getting a 22 Yamaha from a couple months ago.
I cannot confirm or.
I did ride a 250F. A buddy of mine.
Fake news.
Out in Illinois, and I will say it put a smile on my face when I rode that thing. I was like, this had, because remember the last 250 YZ I rode was a 2007, the white anniversary bikes.
Oh
and
yeah,
that thing was a big. I mean, it handled really well, but holy crap, dude! I was getting my ass handed to me like left and right, dude. It was rough. It was rough.
Oh yeah, man, those bikes were something. Oh.
Dude, we're musical bikes right now. Is he the right bike? Okay. Holy crap, that was crazy.
Oh yeah, freaking everybody fell over.
Dude, I'll tell you what, Moran's looks really good this year, man. Like I know he's always been a solid dude, but to be consistent, man, he's been
creeping it up. Like he's got some glimmers and hope there and whatnot. It's cool. It's funny. It's like I noticed that a lot this year. That a lot of guys that were kind of off the radar have been having glimpses of good days, good races, and that's cool to see. It's kind of cool to see not the repetitiveness and just to see other guys kind of creeping in there. And I definitely that's agree. Why I feel right now like the sport, at least right now with Soupy, is pretty solid. Like they got a good program thing going on and whatnot, and it's crazy how much it has changed, like the presentation of Supercross from when I first started going to it. Yeah. Before they didn't do much. And now it's literally a whole, rehearsed thing.
Dude, it's a pageant now, man.
Yeah, dude. It's cool, which is why it's the lights, camera, action thing. And it's really cool to see though. Yeah. Definitely a step up from back in the day.
Most definitely, 100%. If there's one thing that you could change about Supercross or motocross, Brittany, and I'll ask you after, Ozzy, what would that one thing be? What would the one big change you make be?
The grown-ass men bitching on Twitter? No. The tracks every week. Only one thing. Come on, there's a lot of things. The announcing is terrible.
Come on, my boy Joseph Allen does a decent job at the racing.
It's slightly terrible.
Okay.
Some of it. No, I don't know. There seems to be a lot of drama the last few years in Supercross, so I dialed down the drama a shit ton. But like track-wise, they need to kind of be more creative. I don't know. I got a whole list of stupid things that probably wouldn't make a huge impact. But
what would be yours, Ozzy?
It's funny because I don't know if there's really much that I would change. I mean, I do agree with Brittany on some points. Like there are certain aspects that I think, to me are kind of corny, but very at least for us guys that have been around, we kind of roll our eyes at it going really, do we have to go over that or something? It's just sometimes we feel that what do they think we're idiots, but it's again, if it means to grow the sport, then that's what you got to do. You got to make it for everybody.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a way to do that without dumbing it down, though.
Yeah. They just need to figure out what it is. I think if anything, like what was cool is I can't remember which race it was where they actually started listening. Like, I guess on Twitter, they were saying, they're actually listening to the riders on certain things about the track and whatnot. And it made a positive change for the racing.
Okay.
Especially for the track itself. And it's like, that's, I think what I would change is that I think the industry needs to pay attention to the guys that are throwing their legs over the bikes.
Yeah.
When you go to certain, like I'm not one to bash, but behind closed doors, but, when a lot of guys that I've talked to, especially, like when they would go to say, per se, like Dilla, when rain's coming,
yep,
and they don't touch the track, they don't till it. They kind of till it, but they fairly leave it alone. Like they at least groom it.
Yeah.
Because they know water's coming, because they know if they till it, all that water's just going to sit in it and not go anywhere. And it's just a mud bog. And I mean, I know I've been at that place during nationals with like Dowdy and stuff, and just his bike would come back just trashed.
Yeah.
And for a lot of the riders too, they were saying they hated it because some of them felt it was sketchy, dangerous.
Yeah.
And for some, it was just like, it didn't make for good racing.
Yes.
When you take the opportunities for guys to, I guess, express their skills and show off their skills, depending on what it is. Look at Anderson. I've never seen a guy that could flat track a motorcycle that good. Like, I mean, I know there's some guys out there, but like, if you ever watch that video that they replay of Anderson passing Tomac at Atlanta, that's insane. On greasy Atlanta mud, and just straight up blowing his doors off. That's insane. And like, when you have guys that have skills like that and they can't show their talent, it makes for boring racing, honestly, because the tracks just turn into slot car racing. Mind you, the tracks do get rough and gnarly, and it separates the men from the boys. But like, we're paying, fans are paying, a lot of money to go to a race to see racing. Like, am I wrong? I'd love to see, X amount of battles for first place. I've gone to superbike races at Daytona when Daytona Supercross was going around. And the big turn at Talladega, 5 guys battling for first place. That's insane.
That's awesome.
Like, that was insane. And we saw glimpses of that this year of like 3 or 4 guys battling up front, and it's like, that's good racing. Like, we live off
that's
that.
What I want to see.
That's what I want to see. And I think a lot of that has to do with input from riders and what they feel makes for good racing, because honestly, they're the ones that are doing the racing. They're the entertainment. I understand the fans are the ones that, make the paychecks, which obviously that's the way things work. But like that, if anything, I want to see more of a positive change for the racers. To make it worth their while to show up, especially right now. Look at gas. Gas is almost, in California is
$7.50.
Disgusting. It's and it's unfathomable. And then these guys, and especially with the schedule, it's almost like they throw darts at a board, like, oh, we'll go here, and then we'll go like, well, that's 2,500 miles the opposite direction. And which I know that has to do with the venue. That has to do, like I said, being a musician, that has to do with scheduling of events that venues have going on and when they can sneak them in. So, but that's what I feel, is that the riders need more support from the industry itself. Because, they say, well, everyone's like, well, they don't have to race. No, they don't have to race. But it's like, as us as racers and riders, it's like, how can you not want to race? And if you put more of a positive change for them and make it worth their while, you'll get the numbers will come up. They will come back, and it's just, unfortunately, the sport is taking a direction in a way of where it eats its own.
Yeah.
And, you know, it sucks to see that, but I would just love to see the riders get more support from the industry for sure.
I definitely agree from you. I agree with you. We just got a glimpse of the SX Futures riders, right? So we've seen a bunch of their races this year. We've seen a bunch of them kind of rise to the top, right? And obviously those guys being like a Ryder D, Chance Hymas, I think even Towers is looking really good. How do you think that's going to impact the sport, Brittany? You think we're going to see like a lot of like really big top end talent sort of mature a lot quicker because of the Supercross Futures? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's definitely beneficial. It gives them an opportunity to kind of get their feet wet a little bit in the field. I think it's definitely a positive thing for them to have for those guys.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with you. I'm really excited to see Hymas versus Di Francesco. Ryder D is an absolute beast.
He's really good.
I think he's going to be. Yeah, he should be he's going to be the truth. But everyone's kind of telling these guys, next to each other. But honestly, dude, like I think Ryder D's got Hymas's number, man. That dude is just all out, just crazy fast, super smooth, and like he doesn't get fazed by any of this. And now I will say we're seeing Kalitsian behind him. Kalitsian got a chance to ride an MCR bike at Loretta's for the MCR crew, and they were very impressed with how fast he was so quickly on a bigger bike like that. So I think he's another one that could really do some cool stuff. But if you had to take your pick between Ryder D and Chance Hymas, who do you got, Ozzy?
I'd have to throw my hat towards Ryder D.
Gotcha.
He's got a lot of talent. He seems to have a good program going on. And I mean, the kid's like, he's pretty dominant in this and whatnot.
Yeah.
But, like the people behind him that are no slouches either.
Yeah.
But for the way his season went with the amateur thing and whatnot, I think he'll do pretty good. But, when it's your first race though, as a pro, that changes everything. Like, you'd make that step. It's your debut. There's so much riding on you about having a good ride and whatnot, but he seems to be smart with his riding and everything, doesn't go overboard. Like he's very smooth, calculated.
Yep.
And, that pays off for a lot of guys and whatnot.
For sure.
But it's cool to see. Like,
he's got some good trainers too with him. I think he's got Way helping him out and like a bunch of other guys. Like he had Randy Lawrence in his corner for a long time too. If he still doesn't, I mean, I'm not sure, but dude, this guy is. I feel like he's going to be the truth, man. Yeah,
absolutely. Everybody has the potential, and obviously he's got a big step ahead in what he's got going on. So I think, but time will tell, obviously, because you like I say, you just don't know how people act at their first race.
Yeah. Yep.
Unfortunately, look at Jet. He got hurt press day.
That was crazy to me. Like, dude, come on.
It's kind of, I understand shit happens, but I don't know, the sport sometimes I feel, at least in Supercross, sometimes I feel like they might be putting them out there too early.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Like they don't have, I know they have their debuts at some of the outdoor nationals and whatnot, but I mean, that's a completely different monster.
Yes.
I remember when Kenny would tell me about stories when Ernesto first started at Yamaha Troy, when, he was 16 when he moved to the US. Like he didn't have a driver's license, nothing. He lived with Kenny. And it's funny because, they used to jog around the streets of Holyoke out here. He raced a couple NESCs too.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. Yep. And that was during when they found his talent. I think Eric Keogh was down in Costa Rica or something, and can't remember the exact story, but they said that, this kid's the next thing.
Yeah.
And so they were looking for somebody to basically kind of groom him, and Kenny was the guy for that. And basically, he was a 16-year-old in the US just trying to groom the kid. And then when they made their move out to California, they had a lot of success together. But I know Kenny, he said the work they did in the off season was gnarly.
Yeah.
really gnarly to get him ready for it. Because Kenny had worked at pro circuit, you know, he worked at with Mitch. He was Nick Way's mechanic and Pingree back in the day. So he knew what was required for a rider.
Yeah.
But Ernie had just wicked good talent when it came to Supercross.
He had a really good mind for that, really good racecraft.
Right.
He was I don't ever remember him being out of control or messing up. Like he was just a super solid guy. The fact that Kenny was in his corner he had good company in Kenny, man. Kenny's such a good dude. But yeah, I mean, I could definitely see, you know, any one of these kids having a really great start like that. Do you think that there's a little bit too much pressure put on these new kids to go pro, Brittany? Like I'm talking about like a Reynolds, like a Ryder D, even the Deegans. Like, do you think all that pressure that we're getting from the industry about like, oh God, this guy's going to be so good when he comes up there, do you think it's going to be motivation, or do you think it's going to come at like a detriment to a lot of these riders?
I mean, I think it depends on how they take it, but I think with all the social media and everything too, that makes it worse for them. But like you said, Deegan, he's probably like, oh, my dad is like this badass rider. I kind of have to be a badass rider too. So he's probably like, it probably puts a lot of pressure on him. Yeah.
No, I could see that. And one thing that I always think about is like, man, they put so much stock into these little kids, which is rightfully so, right? But like, man, it kind of drives me nuts sometimes when they're like, okay, we're gonna put all of our resources in this one kid. We're gonna give him the best bike. He's gonna be the it kid. I'm like, can you like take a little bit of maybe give him half of that like hype and put the other half into like a car now or somebody. Take the heat off of this kid a little bit, but also help out another rider so that just in case your star kid doesn't perform, you at least have another bike out there, right? Or like at least someone else who, who's gonna, I guess, be under that same watchful eye, you know.
That kind of goes with what you were saying about Jet getting hurt. Like everyone is all like Jet Lawrence, and then he gets hurt, and they're like, "Oh shit,
what do we do?
Like, what do we do? Yeah, Jet's hurt. He's our only like name we can drop that everyone's gonna be like, oh my god."
Yeah, right. Dude, it's insane how crazy people go over that kid. Like literally, we were at St. Louis, and he stopped by to chat about some stuff. Like he's wearing these like pearls now. So I was like, dude, are pearls in? Like, is that what I do now? Like, how do I'm a black dude. I should know about fashion before anyone else.
Grandma Jet in the house.
Right. And he was like, Dave, dude, like the pearls are where it's at, dude. Like this is the move you got to go for, whatever.
What?
I mean, we're just talking, whatever. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know that. There's some girl behind like the area where we were, like shaking, waiting for him to finish talking so that she can like ambush him. We're like, dude, this girl is going to come over and snatch this guy away. Like,
oh man,
dude, I don't understand that. Why people?
I mean, he's cool. He's a cool, super cool dude, right? Really likable. Yeah. I really enjoy talking to him. I'm a big fan.
Nice.
But these girls they will literally kill themselves for him. I got stopped on the highway, me and my buddy, on the Bet with Jet bike shoot that we did when I did my whole bike. Lost the bet to him. I did my whole bike with his face on it. Some girl pulled us off the highway and was like, I love your bike. I'm a huge Jet Lawrence fan. I'm like, cool. Maybe tell me like through like, hey, here, text message or something, dude. Like, yeah, maybe like a thumbs up or something. Not like a run us off the highway trying to tell us, dude. Like crazy.
That's hilarious.
Look at that. Chance Hyman's one.
Dude, by like 6 seconds, huh?
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's the sport. Changes in a flash.
Yep. I did not see that coming, man.
Ryder looks tired.
I would be too, dude. All those people watching and kind of like a Supercross sort of debut.
Mm-hmm.
I had a hard time racing at Mototown, man.
man, those were the days.
Oh, I missed that. Brittany, you missed out, buddy.
That was before my time.
How old are you, Brittany?
27.
Okay, yeah.
I started riding when I was 21, so I was not.
Okay, yeah. I'm like, no, yeah, you're only like 3-4 years younger than me, so. But yeah, those were the times. Those were.
Everyone, all these guys talk about back in the day riding, and I was like, yeah. I'll let you know.
It's true.
Yeah, it was a different.
It was a different environment back then.
It was, and the thing was, everyone knew everybody, and everyone only lived like was it max maybe an hour? So like, we could all meet up like Agawam area, and we all got our license around the same time. So it was just a caravan of old shitty beat up trucks swerving on the road.
Shitty Toyota Tacomas and S10s. S10s were the thing, man. Like, there was no such thing as, you know, sprinter vans or just regular vans. Like, if you had an S10, you were killing it.
You were killing it, dude. You were killing. I had a Dodge Dakota, dude.
Yeah,
I felt like I was killing the game, dude.
Oh yeah, and you always knew who the moto guy was at school.
Yep.
Like, if you look, like I said, you look up for the little tiny beat up pickup. And with all the moto stickers all over the, like,
tie downs in the back.
Yep. You remember Tony, right?
Tony.
Buddy, Tony.
Oh yeah.
I remember he used to come to school with his bike in the back because he's like, oh, going to Willer's afterwards.
Dude, I love.
Or Mototown. Like, I remember, he used to show up. He's like, oh, I got my bike in the back. I'm like, where are you going? He's like, Mototown. I'm like, oh, cool.
Absolutely.
I miss those days. It was so cool because, you know, I guess most of us were fresh out of high school.
Yep.
And I guess if we call those twilight years of kind of spreading out on your own, you know, like just being a little rebellious because, you know, you're out of school, you know, you can just hang out with your friends and whatnot back then. And then just going to Mototown at night, like all of us were there, you know, you, Luke, Marco, me,
everyone,
you know, Chase, you know, whoever.
Yeah.
And that was the place to be. As freezing as it was in that place, you know, there were nights that we'd be down there and it was like, what, 32 degrees or
if you were lucky. It was always colder in the building.
Oh yeah, in the side because and then, you know, they never turned the fans on, so like inside it was just a freaking smog screen of exhaust fumes. You leave the place, you know, like bloodshot eyes with a headache and your throat sore and you're just like, oh man, we ripped. You know?
I distinctly remember everyone just like literally scrounging for like loose change. Like, we're hungry, let's go to Friendly's and like scrounging for loose change. Like, all right, me and you can share an app and we'll do this, and then you and I can share
when we were all done, we'd all go up to the Blimpie upstairs.
Oh, yep. For sure, dude. For sure.
Yeah. The who?
Blimpie.
There's a Blimpie upstairs on like the second floor, third floor, something like that.
What is that?
Sub shop.
Grinder place. It's like Subway.
Oh. I thought it was something else.
No. That's where I met you, Dave, was at Mototown.
Yeah. Yep.
No, when you worked in the store.
Exactly. We had no business working in that store, man. Me and Luke. It's a bunch of 16-year-olds running a cash register is never.
Oh man, that was great. Those were good times, man.
Yeah. Making like $5 an hour under the table, super illegal.
Didn't matter because the whole thing is just like you were there, you know, you were around the dirt bike like that. Exactly. That's all it was. It's just you're around dirt bikes. It didn't matter what you did. You could be cleaning toilet bowls there. But I'm here.
I'm around. Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
Yeah, I remember when they used to do races in there and stuff, and that's when Chaplin had their team, their little team I remember that race, dude. That was intense.
They were solid, man.
It was Robbie Marshall and one of the renters. I think it was Ricky.
Mr. Marshall.
And I think Morrison raced too. Yeah. During those days, and Insane Shane O'Connor. You remember him? You know, he would show up.
Yeah.
But I remember that race when because Chaplin that was their debut year for doing Supercross.
Yep.
And I remember Kenny Ives had that little team with Robbie and Renner.
Yep.
And they were going to Atlanta. And I remember they showed up at Mototown to shake down the race bikes. And Kenny was Ricky's mechanic. And Ron Bushy was Robbie's, and Ron Bushy was Dowdy's old mechanic too.
Love it.
And I remember we were all standing down there by the starting line, and you know, we're like, "What the hell? Who are?" You know, it's like, you know, you saw the bikes because they stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But I remember all of us were crowded around only because they were running race gas, and we're all standing behind the bike, just you know. Hence why we're so cooked these days.
Oh, dude, tell me about it. Nothing better than race gas, man.
That was great.
Oh, it's a freaking best, man. Oh gosh, love these walks. Love these walks to memory lane. So Come on.
Thanks.
Back when I was a boy.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Oh man, yeah, this has been super fun, guys. Typically, we don't go past the heat races and LCQs. So with that, and also because of my splitting migraine from being at the gym in 100-degree weather, we're gonna do a quick wrap up. Also, shout out to, like we said earlier, Epix Moto, Flow Vision Goggles. Shout out to Evans Power Coolant, Overshare advice and planning, as well as intake breathing systems. Check out all those great promo codes below. Definitely make sure that you give Brittany and Mr. Ozzy a follow. If you don't follow Ozzy, you really need to, because every time he throws up his new bike builds, I'm the first freaking person to like, dude, everything goes quiet around me. Mary's like talking to me. I'm like, quiet. Ozzy just posted. Like, I got to it with the new bike for 22 is. Yeah, make sure you guys check these guys out. Some closing remarks. I'll start with you, Ozzy. What are you most looking forward to as we round out the Supercross series and head into outdoors? Let's do a quick your thoughts on who your outdoor guys are going to be.
Man, it's tough because you got to see right now, and with Eli with his knee injury, how his healing process is going to go. Yep. I'm pretty sure he's going to have some confidence or whatever going in, because I mean, he's kind of on cloud 9 right now.
Yeah.
It's just obviously his injury, like how bad was, I don't know how bad his injury was, but could that play a factor? Probably. I know Coop's sitting out the outdoor series to figure out his whole ordeal and whatnot. And obviously there's, Dunge is coming back, and Cairoli, and they're going to mix it up. And Ferrandis has been, cutting his teeth right now, training and just focusing on defending his outdoor title. He's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah.
I think the outdoors is, with the mixture of the two guys coming out of the woodwork there with Dunge and Cairoli, I think it's going to be cool. It's good for the sport for sure. And overall, I think it's going to be good racing for sure, because you're not going to know how Cairoli is going to shape up against a healthy Dylan.
Yeah,
and I think it's going to make for some good racing.
I agree. I'm excited to see Cairoli, man. I'm such a huge Tony Cairoli fan.
That's going to be so awesome.
I'm stoked for that. Boots, what do you got? Who are you thinking are going to be your guys for outdoors?
I don't know, because Coop's my fave, but
really,
yeah,
across the board, Supercross and motocross.
Notice her eyes blinked when she said that. Like,
I don't think he's. Oh my God, the juniors!
Oh,
I don't think. Shut up, Ozzy.
What do you have baby fever right now? What is going on with you, Boots?
No, I just love them. My baby fever is cured. I was with my nephews for like hours last night.
Gotcha.
But no, I mean, I know it's like the generic answer right now, but I never was a Dungey fan, but I'm excited to see what he's going to do from not racing for so long and then just coming back into the field with, Cairoli and Eli coming from the Supercross championship and seeing where he lines up with everyone. That's what I'm excited for. I think it's going to be.
Yeah, I think Eli's obviously going to be a force. I know most people don't talk about JA outdoors, but I think Ando is going to be really good in that new Cowie. I really like what he's got going on and how he looks. But I think Dungey's going to be top 10 guy for sure, top 8 until he gets his sea legs underneath him. I think Antonio Cairoli is going to be very fast out of the gate. I don't expect him to be anywhere lower than like a 4th, to be honest with you. Those guys ride gnarlier tracks a lot faster. Their primary focus is outdoors, and they ride a lot longer than we do. I'm telling you.
I'd be very surprised.
An extra 5 minutes and a couple laps on those tracks is a long time. I think he's going to be an absolute force, and I'm really excited to see that. And I hope you guys are ready to see that as well. If you want to go behind the scenes and work with a professional race team, like some of our other top interns who are training people like AC, AP, and working with guys like James Stewart, Cade Clayson, and A-Ray, check out thecollectivexp.com where you can kickstart your career in motocross. We have spots for people who want to be mechanics, social media managers, team managers, brand ambassadors, you name it. We've got so many gigs and so many people who are in the sport right now who have came through our program, and we want to help you out as well. thecollectivexp.com. Check it out and become an industry insider like these guys I'm talking to you right now. So guys, this was fun. I absolutely love this. I don't want to take up too much of your time, blow out too much of your weekend with talking motocross and dirt bikes and whatnot. And I want to let you guys watch the race without hearing my annoying voice in the background. But Ozzy, why don't you tell the people
for days?
Why don't you tell the people, Ozzy, where they can follow along and what you got coming up for the rest of 2022?
Well, you can follow me on Instagram as Ozman121. I do have my thing on private because I don't know, I'm a private person, but mostly, or you can find me on Facebook. Right now I am busy working over at the track with Keith and Dowdy, you know, just maintaining the facility and whatnot and getting it ready for the national, and hope to see a good crowd this year, you know, with especially if the two outside, you know, well, not outsiders, but, you know, the two new guys, Dunge and Corelli, you know, depending on how their races go, if they feel like they're going to extend their racing, because that's what they quote unquote said, that, you know, seeing how the racing goes, and if they want to choose to keep going, you know, it's going to be cool to see for sure, you know, firsthand, and excited to do that, get the natty up and going, but otherwise just busy there, just keeping the place going, cleaned up, and the track operational as much as I can. And then also too, at the same time, I'm still gonna be working on bikes here and there, mostly my little close circle, but I don't mind doing different projects. Like right now I'm working on a frame, you know, getting it nice and shiny, if you know what I mean, Dave. With the secret sauce, you know.
Secret sauce, yes,
I'll be
sir.
posting those pictures up, and you can drool over those.
I will. Don't worry about that. I will.
Those are for the DMs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I slide into Ozzy's DMs. Anytime he posts a bike, I'm sliding in.
Send me that frame, girl.
Look at that frame.
But yeah, that's pretty much where you'll find me, is pretty much at Southwick. So
gotcha. What do you got going on, Brittany, for at 22, and where can people follow along with you?
You can follow my Instagram at _boots7. I'm not entirely sure what my plan is this year. I think I'm just going to kind of hop around some races for fun, get used to the big girl bike. I don't know. That's all I got for you.
You both didn't mention a trip down to Austin, which I'm really sad about.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So I have a friend from Australia that is coming to Texas in August.
Gotcha.
And he free rides Harleys. So
nice.
I have a sister in Texas also, so I could go visit her.
Yeah, come on down. We got plenty of room for both you guys. They build them big here in Texas, so I got more house than I actually need.
I know. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do too. I want to do some more road trips to some bigger tracks, like
definitely
not stick around the local.
No, we got some good tracks, and the food here is incredible, which is
phenomenal.
Gonna be my downfall. But thank you both. I appreciate both of you guys for tuning in. Ozzy, you know how much I love you, buddy. I'm so grateful.
Absolutely, man.
Boots, anytime you're on, it's always a good time for me. Been trying to get you on forever. You don't love me like you used to, but it's okay.
Hey, you text me every time I'm busy, and then when I'm not, I'm like, oh, guess Dave doesn't need me, or you're at the race.
No worries.
I want to hear it.
No worries. We'll get it going. But thank you guys for tuning in and watching and chatting. The main event's underway, so we'll let you guys get to that one, and we'll talk to you both soon.